Hello and thank you for watching. I'm Jennifer Bowman with Olympia Piano, and this video was going to give you some tips on how to prepare your left hand to play the Chopin Prelude in E minor. In the first portion of the video, we will discuss fingering options for the chords in the left hand. Part 2 will be how to navigate the switches between the chords, and then part 3 will be a basic technique you can employ during this piece to make it sound more buoyant, more like it's pulsing on water versus just heavy. So we'll start with measure 1, going to measure 2. You have two choices for the chord in measure 1. You could either do 1, 2, 4, and then in measure 2, 1, 3, 5, or you could start with 1, 3, 5 and go to 1, 3, 5. It all really depends on the size of your hand. My hands are large, so for my hand, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 5 is more comfortable. If you have a smaller hand, you might need to do 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. Measure 2, I'm just going to suggest one choice for the first chord and one choice for the second chord. So 1, 3, 5, then scoot your thumb in, 1, 3, 5. Now moving from measure 2 to measure 3, we could either do 1, 3, 5, end of measure 2, and then slide that pinky down, 1, 3, 5. Or you can switch to finger 2 in the middle. Some people find that a little more comfortable to have a 2 there. Measure 3, if you start with 1, 3, 5, then I'm going to just suggest 1, 3, 5 for the other two chords in that measure. So first you slide your thumb down, then you slide the middle. However, if you start with 1, 2, 5, then I'm going to also suggest you stick with the 1, 2, 5, and then use 1, 3, 5 for the third chord. So again, either 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, or 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 5, 1, 3, 5. So measure 3 going to measure 4, we can either do 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, all of them 1, 3, 5, or if we start with 1, 3, 5, last chord in measure 3, 1, 3, 5, 1, 2, 5, then 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. So you're testing all of these out to see what feels right with your hand. So moving now to measure 5, we're at 1, 3, 5. End of measure 4, you can do again two things. You can either slide down 1, 3, 5, and then 1, 3, 5 again, or we ended on 1, 3, 5. You can kind of reset 1, 2, 5, and then let your third finger sit up here on that black key. 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, or 1, 3, 5, 1, 2, 5, 1, 3, 5. Regardless, let's end on 1, 3, 5 for that. Measure 6, we'll start with that. And then again, two choices. And by the way, these aren't the only choices, but these are probably the most commonly done. You've just got to sit down and take some time to figure out the fingering that works best for your hand. Then you'll be able to play it very fluidly. In measure 6, you could either take this 1, 3, 5 and scoot the pinky down, which would result in the angle of your hand changing, or you can keep this U shape here and then put fingers 2 and 4 on these black keys. That's what I prefer, I think. So either 1, 2, 4 or 1, 3, 5 for this chord. If we do 1, 2, 4, we're probably going to switch to 1, 2, 5. If we have 1, 3, 5 on this, then we'll probably switch to 1, 3, 5 for that. So it's just going to result in a little bit of switching the angle of the hand. And then moving from measure 7 to 8, we've got this note coming down. So 1, 3, 5 to 1, 3, 5. If you were doing 1, 2, 5 for that, it's easy just to play 3. Measure 8 here, we're going to have 1, 3, 5, two choices on the second half of the measure. Either move the thumb down for 1, 3, 5, or move the whole hand down to 1, 2, 4, which prepares us for the next position, which would be 1, 3, 5. So either 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, or 1, 3, 5, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 5. Measure 9, starting 1, 3, 5, and then just move the thumb down again for 1, 3, 5. Moving down to measure 10. I think it's better to switch this E to a 2 and do 1, 2, 5, which prepares us for the next chord in measure 10. 1, 2, 5 to start. Beat 2, you are going to play that black key, D sharp, with finger 3. And then you can either scoot these 2 notes up like this, so 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, or 1, 3, 5, 1, 2, 4. I prefer that one because it's a little bit easier to go back and forth like this than this. That's a lot of motion. See what works for your hand. So then we're just switching measure 11, 1, 3, 5, to 1, 2, 4, and then 3, 5, or the 3, 5 switch. Then back in 13, just like the beginning, either 1, 2, 4 or 1, 3, 5. So 13, 1, 2, 4 to 1, 3, 5, or 1, 3, 5 to 1, 3, 5. Measure 14, 1, 3, 5 to 1, 3, 5. I don't think you should do 4 there. It's too many things to switch with all the black keys involved. So we're going to end on 1, 3, 5, measure 14, and then switching the middle note, 1, 3, 5. Actually do 1, 3, 5 for all of these. So just one thing is switching. Here's the end of 14. We switch the middle, slide down, 1, 3, 5. Here's measure 15 coming into 16. So we've got 1, 3, 5. We're just going to slide this down to another 1, 3, 5 and another 1, 3, 5 for beats 1 and 2. Then again, we can choose for beat 3. We could either do another 1, 3, 5 from here to here, or really look at the angle of your hand and do 1, 2, 4, and then 1, 2, 5. You're just kind of pivoting. So whatever finger's on the middle note, it will remain the same. So if you have 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 5, 2 remains the same. If you have 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, the 3 remains the same. And then this one, you have to kind of do by feel to the next octave. Your thumb's going to just come under where your pinky was and open out to an octave. And in measure 17, I would just suggest one fingering for this big chord, 5 and 1 on the outsides, 2 and 4 in the middle. It's pretty stretched out. And the way I would practice this, by the way, is just do the octaves first. So you're doing a B to the A, B to A, then grab one of the notes, grab the F sharp, then grab the other note with finger 4, then finally put them all together. So we're at 1, 2, 4. This note is going to become your top note. You're going to kind of turn down to the left, open out a little bit. 1, 2, 4, 5. These 2 notes are going to squeeze in and go to one note. So you can either do 1, 4, 5, or let 3 go where 4 was and 1, 3, 5. I like the 1, 3, 5 better. It kind of gets me out of all these black keys. And now moving from measure 17 to 18, you can either play 2 and 4 where they are, so 1, 3, 5, 1, 2, 4, or you can move up to 3, 5. See what works for you? All right, so measure 18, we're either on 1, 2, 4 or 1, 3, 5. We're going to pop down to A with 5, and the best fingering for this next chord, the single chord, is 3, 2, 1, because that's going to get us in place for this octave with the E in the middle. So 3 just stays on E. I'll do that one more time. 5, 3, 2, 1, 5, 3, 1. Now moving from beat 3 to beat 4, you could either do 5, 3, 1, 5, 3, 1, or you could do 5, 3, 1, and then put 2 where 3 is and do 4, 2, 1. And then you would keep that same fingering for the next couple of measures. So 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 5 for measures 18 and 19, or 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. I feel like the 2, 4 is just a little bit easier because it's easier to get measure 20, and I've got 5, 2, 1 here. Then I'm going to just switch that to 1, 3, 5, and move my thumb down, 1, 3, 5. Squeeze them both in. Now we've got just a simple fifth. And you can do one of two things. You can reach over with 2. Some people like to do that, 2 on the black key. I like to move my thumb up. Just depends on what feels good. So 2 choices for that C7 there. Then 1, 3, 5. You could go from 2, 5 to 1, 3, 5. So moving from 21 into 22, 1, 3, 5. Pinky could move down, 1, 3, 5. Or we could go 1, 3, 5, 1, 2, 5. Opens up a little bit. And then moving from beat 1 to beat 2, measure 22, either 1, 2, 5 to 1, 2, 5, or 1, 3, 5 to 2, 3, 5. Some people like to then put the thumb underneath, kind of walk down. I think that works really well. I think they both work really well. So let's say we're doing that. 1, 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. Or 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 5. They both work really well. Then moving from here, 1, 2, 5, you can either do 5, 4, 1, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 5, 1, 3, 4. And then finally 5, 1, 5, 2, 1. Sorry, you can't see those bottom notes. And then down to an E. So part 2 of this video, we're just going to go over the chord switches themselves. I'm not necessarily thinking about exactly which fingering I'm using. So I'm going to start with 1, 3, 5. So when we move to the next chord, 2 notes are changing. Pinky's going down a half step, middle finger is going down a whole step to this chord right here. Then the top note goes down a half step to a black key. Next measure, measure 3. Top 2 stay the same. Bottom 1 moves down a half step. Beat 3. Top moves down a half step. Beat 4. Middle moves down a half step. So nice. He's kind of crawling through these chords. Going from measure 3 to measure 4. Bottom moves down a half step. Beat 3. Middle moves down a half step. Beat 4. Top moves down a half step. And moving to measure 5, the top goes down again, half step. Then the middle goes down a half step. Then it stays there. For beats 1 and 2, measure 6. Now the bottom goes down a half step. And moving to measure 7, middle stays the same, top stays the same, bottom switches. Measure 7 to measure 8, switching that middle note down a half step. Now, when we go from beat 2 to beat 3 and measure 8, top note is going down a half step. I like to switch fingers, 1, 2, 4 for that one, by the way. And then moving from measure 8 to 9, now we have 2 notes that are switching. The bottom note goes down a whole step, the middle note goes down a half step. Going to beat 2, top goes down a whole step. Moving from measure 9 to 10, now the bottom is going to go down a half step. Then from beat 1 to beat 2, the middle goes down a half step. And then from beat 2 to beat 3, we have 2 notes that are switching, up a half step, bottom 2 notes, then down a half step. Then up a half step, and then down a half step. Back to our beginning position, by the way, which is E minor. In first inversion, I'm going to use 1, 2, 4. Bottom 2 notes switch. Bottom 1 down a half step, middle 1 down a whole step. And then this time, instead of only the top switching, he has a big transition here. The middle will stay the same. The outsides will go down a half step. Then we'll just switch 1 for beat 1, middle first. Then top goes down a half step. Then bottom goes down a half step, stays there for a little bit. Measure 16, middle goes down a half step, top goes down a half step. And then we've got this jump. So now the bottom note is going to become the middle note. I like to use finger 2 for that. 4, 2, 1. Then that middle note stays the same, and the outside voices move down a half step. we pop down. Sorry, you can't see the bottom. We already talked about this anyway. This becomes your top note, 2 blacks on the top, 2 whites on the bottom. Then this 4-note chord squeezes into a 3-note chord. We're going to move these 2 notes to this E. Then the bottom 2 notes move up to 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 5, whatever you like, A minor chord, pop to an A, and then I like to use 3, 2, 1 for that. Try that if it's possible. This stays in the middle. Now we're going to put an octave on the outside with this E in the middle. Then again, the E stays in the middle. I'm going to switch to finger 2. This goes down a whole step. This comes up a half step. So from here to here, then back out, B on the outside. They come back in to that A minor chord. B's on the outside. Now, middle note switches. Top note switches, making it a B7, B dominant chord. This squeezes in. Middle goes away. Outside squeeze in by 1 white key. And then we're going to hop up with this top note to B flat. And then again, we'll have an A minor chord. So the C will stay on the bottom. This will scoot down a half step, and then we'll add another chord tone to make A minor chord. And then this stays in the middle. Bottom note down a half step. I'm going to switch this middle finger to 2. And then top note down a half step. Top note down a half step again. And then we're going to keep this note the same. Bottom note is going to move down a half step, and we're going to add a C above that. Like that. And then just, I'll do it up an octave because you can't see it in the video. B with a 5th in the middle, and then E. And just in those last 2 measures, just so you know, 2 notes for the first chord or play with the left hand, 4 notes with the right hand, then 3 notes with the left hand, and then 4 notes with the right hand, and then 2 notes with the left hand, 4 notes with the right hand. All right, the last section is the actual physical technique of playing these chords to make them sound like they're floaty, like they're buoyant. And I have a specific way I like to teach this. There's many ways to approach the left hand, and this is just the way that has worked for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to organize the notes in either groups of 4. Measure 1 has the same chord twice, or whenever the harmony changes. And what we're going to do is we're going to gently point out the first note of either the group of 4 or of the new harmony with a gentle down motion. And then the rest of the notes in that harmony, your wrist is going to slightly go up, and they're going to become lighter and lighter. So in slow motion, it's going to be down, touch, up, reset, down, touch, up, reset. Now we have 2 harmonies. Touch, down, touch, up, and down, touch, and so forth. And that's the technique you're going to use throughout this piece. When you move it up and it goes more quickly, it sounds very gentle and floaty. So So a couple things I want to point out that will make it really fun and interesting. One is if you can voice the note that is changing, makes it sound really excellent. So between measures 1 and 2, for example, if we start here, we want to voice when we move down, touch, touch, touch. Play the bottom a little bit louder. And then on second part, play the top a little bit louder. So we're pulling out that moving note. That's once you have it in your fingers. And then in measure 16 and 17, when the harmonies are a lot louder, you don't need to worry so much about having the second note of the harmony be super soft. Rather, use that second chord to move to the next chord. So if I'm going here, I'm thinking, okay, I've got to get my thumb in here. Now I'm thinking I've got to open up, down. Now I'm thinking I've got to slide down and jump down, jump up. Those will all just be loud, by the way. And then back to soft. So I'm also going to show you a side view of this so you can really see, you don't want your wrist going super high. It's just a gentle rolling motion, about to this high. So here's the side view of the left hand roll-ups. One thing I forgot to mention is you want to play this more on the finger pads. You're going to find your grip point and the hand will have a gentle curve to it. So we'll have down, touch, roll, up, down, touch, roll, up, move, down, touch, roll, up, move. And you'll be higher on the black keys, of course. So hands together, it's going to look like this. Right hand's going to be a little bit lower because the right hand has all of these singing tones. It's going to be like this. Down, touch, roll, up, switch and switch and switch, and so forth. So I like to try to get my hands to kind of choreograph together also when I'm playing this. Thank you very much for watching this video with tips for the left hand for the Chopin's Prelude in E minor. Please subscribe to my channel, share it with those who you think might enjoy it. And as always, thank you for watching.